There are a few things more iconically 80s than morally depraved trust fund kids, and today's Miami Vice features a whole lot of them. Trust Fund Pirates was directed by Jim Johnston and written by Daniel Pine, two gentlemen whose names we've come across multiple times during this excellent second season. This is a solid workhorse of an episode. It probably doesn't appear on too many all-time best lists, but it gets the job done. It opens with Charlie Bartlett's Noogie, Vice's recurring informant, whom we haven't seen since season 1, hanging out on a boat, rapping with an eye patch-wearing DJ named Captain Hook, who is played by Homicide: Life on the Street and Law & Order SVU star Richard Belzer. Captain Hook, who runs a pirate radio station on his boat at sea to evade the FCC, blasts Randy Newman's Miami over a montage of scenes of the city. Elsewhere at sea, a yacht carrying a bunch of drug smugglers from Cartagena awaits the arrival of a seaplane pilot named Jackson, who is going to be picking up a shipment of cocaine. A group of bloodthirsty young hoodlums in a stolen U.S. Customs boat opens fire on the yacht, killing everyone on board. The hoodlums, who are led by a destructive and homicidal preppy named Skip, played by Perry Lang, raid the yacht and steal the stash of coke. While Simply Red's Heaven plays, Jackson lands his seaplane in the water, boards the yacht, and discovers the carnage. He's clearly horrified by what he sees, though not too horrified to steal the boat's sonar equipment before he leaves. Jackson is played by a baby-faced Gary Cole, who would rise to prominence in the late 80s as the star of the drama series Midnight Caller, before going on to be the very best thing in a whole lot of films and TV shows. I have multiple contenders for my favorite Gary Cole role: Office Space, Talladega Nights, Dodgeball, but the winner is the 1995 CBS series American Gothic, which was created and produced by the demented creative team of Sam Raimi and Sean Cassidy, which starred Cole as a small-town sheriff who's also probably the devil. If you're a Gary Cole fan, I can't recommend American Gothic highly enough. Vice is sent in to investigate the slaughter on the boat. When a fence named Jumbo tries to sell the stolen sonar equipment, Crockett and Tubbs, posing as Burnett and Cooper, head out to his home, an Airstream trailer in the middle of a rat-infested junkyard, to ask him a few questions. Jumbo is played by Tommy Chong of Cheech and Chong fame. His scrappy and resourceful wife Fluffy is played by Denny Dillon, who was briefly a Saturday Night Live cast member, but is probably best known for the HBO series Dream On. Jumbo tells Crockett and Tubbs he was supposed to buy the coke from Jackson, and Jackson gave him the stolen sonar equipment so he could sell it and recoup at least part of his investment. To find Jackson, Jumbo points Crockett and Tubbs in the direction of Captain Hook. As Steve Winwood, still in the game, plays, Crockett and Tubbs board Captain Hook's boat and ask for an introduction to Jackson. Posing as gun runners in need of transportation, Crockett and Tubbs meet with Jackson, who knows them by reputation. Jackson is a friend of Jimmy Cole, the renegade pilot played by Glenn Fry back in Season 1 Smuggler's Blues. In fact, this episode was supposed to feature the return of Jimmy, but Fry's schedule didn't permit it, so they turned Jimmy into Jackson instead. It would have been great to see Fry again, but frankly, I'm just relieved to finally have confirmation that Jimmy survived his injuries after being shot halfway through Smuggler's Blues. Skip and his vicious preppy henchmen show up at Jumbo's trailer to sell the stolen coke. They try to kill and rob Jumbo, but they're thwarted by a gun-toting Fluffy, and Fluffy and Jumbo get away safely. Jackson goes out drinking with Crockett and Tubbs, who claim to be in need of a boat to transport their guns. They ask Jackson to introduce them to the pirates in exchange for a finder's fee. Jackson refuses because he wants to get out of the smuggling business for good, but they offer him enough money to change his mind. This scene is scored to the song La Mirada by Philip Michael Thomas, who could teach a masterclass in self-promotion. Jackson introduces them to his wealthy young fiancée Lanny, who is played by Nicole Fosse, daughter of dance and choreography superstars Gwen Verdon and Bob Fosse. While the instrumental track Space Invader by the Pretenders plays, Crockett and Tubbs somehow get roped into chaperoning Lanny as she plays arcade games. Lanny is a spoiled and vapid trust fund baby who is set to inherit millions. She's attracted to Jackson because she's got a thirst for danger, while Jackson is attracted to her because she's set to inherit millions. While a couple of ostensible gun runners babysit his girlfriend, Jackson visits a flop house in search of the pirates, while That Smell by Leonard Skinner plays. He's horrified to discover that Skip, who turns out to be Lanny's brother, is the head of the pirates, who, after all, are a bunch of wanton, homicidal thrill killers. As In Excess's What You Need plays, Jackson meets Crockett and Tubbs at a bar to warn them away from working with Skip, who will almost certainly double-cross and try to kill them. Our intrepid Vice detectives are not dissuaded, and they insist on meeting Skip. Lanny tags along, claiming to want adventure. Jackson has a crisis of conscience and flatly refuses to lead Crockett and Tubbs into an ambush. At this point, Lanny whips out a gun and orders them to board Jackson's plane because it turns out she's just as vicious and awful as her brother. At gunpoint, Jackson flies them all to Skip's mansion. Skip fully plans on killing Crockett and Tubbs, but a big shootout ensues, during which Jackson manages to incapacitate Lanny and shoot Skip at the same time. Out of gratitude, Crockett offers Jackson a chance at a new life with a clean slate. Jackson agrees to think it over. I like this episode. It's nothing outstanding, especially compared to some of the high points of season 2, but it's got a good story that it tells pretty well. Skip and Lanny, the morally bankrupt and downright odious trust fund kids, are a pitch-perfect pair of 80s villains. Jackson is a likable anti-hero, and the side characters, Captain Hook and Jumbo and Fluffy, all fit right in with Miami Vice's weird and sprawling universe. This isn't a classic, but it's enjoyable. 3 flamingos. Next time, Season 2 comes to an end with a new chapter in the sprawling Calderon saga that kicked off the entire series. Please subscribe to my channel or find me on Twitter to talk about Miami Vice, and I will meet you back here later. Thank you very much for joining me.